The power goes out at 11 p.m. Your guests are still there. Dinner's half cooked. Nobody knows what happened. Most people grab their phones, start texting the landlord, or just stand there looking at the fuse box like it owes them an apology. But one person in the room walks straight to the breaker panel. No hesitation. No Google. They flip 2 switches, check something quietly, and 30 seconds later, the lights are back on. Everyone laughs and claps like they just watched a magic trick. But that person just shrugs. It wasn't a big deal. And you're standing there thinking, how? How do they always just know? It's not magic. It's not luck. And it's definitely not just watching a lot of YouTube tutorials. What's happening inside that person's mind is something most people never think to ask about. Today, we're going to answer it. What you're about to hear isn't a how-to guide for fixing things. This is a deep look at the psychological wiring behind people who stay calm when everything breaks down, and why their brains literally process problems differently than everyone else's. By the end of this video, you'll understand what makes these people tick, where this ability actually comes from, and, most importantly, whether the way you fix things is building you up or quietly burning you out. Let's get into it. Here's what most people don't realize. When something breaks, a car, a relationship, a deadline, a kitchen pipe, your brain doesn't just notice the problem. It makes a judgment about it in less than a second. And that judgment determines everything. For most people, that judgment is threat. The moment something goes wrong, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires up. Heart rate rises. Breathing gets shallow. Logical thinking gets pushed to the back seat. The brain shifts into protection mode, not problem-solving mode. But for people who seem to always know how to fix things, that same moment lands differently. Their brain doesn't label it a threat. It labels it a question. Neuroscientists call this process cognitive reappraisal, the ability to reframe a stressful situation before your emotional reaction takes over. And in people who are natural fixers, this reframing happens almost automatically. They look at a broken garbage disposal and their brain whispers, "Interesting. What's going on in there?" Not panic. Curiosity. That single mental shift, from threat to question, is the foundation of everything else we're going to talk about today. Here's where most people get it wrong. We assume that people who fix things are just naturally talented with their hands, or that they grew up in a garage, or that they've memorized every home repair manual ever printed. But psychologist Albert Bandura identified something far more fundamental back in the 1970s, a concept called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy isn't confidence in the cheerleader sense. It's not telling yourself, "You've got this," in the mirror every morning. It's a very specific, quiet belief, "I'm capable of figuring this out." Notice what that belief doesn't say. It doesn't say, "I already know how to fix this." It says, "Even if I don't know right now, I trust myself to find out." That distinction is everything. When a person with strong self-efficacy opens up a broken appliance they've never touched before, they're not pretending to be an expert. They're genuinely comfortable being a beginner. They believe that the gap between not knowing and knowing is something they can cross. And that belief, not skill, not knowledge, not talent, is what makes them walk toward the problem when everyone else walks away. So how does a person develop that kind of belief? The answer almost always traces back to childhood. And when you look closely, there are 2 very different roads that lead to the same destination. Path 1. The encouraged explorer. Some kids grew up in homes where curiosity was welcomed. Not homes where everything was handed to them, but homes where adults treated questions as adventures. Where a parent looked at a broken toaster and said, "I wonder what's wrong with it. Let's take a look together." In developmental psychology, this is called scaffolded learning. The adult doesn't fix it for the child. They stand beside them and let the child experience the process, the guessing, the testing, the small failure, and then, eventually, the click of something working again. That click is powerful. Every time a child experiences that moment, "I touched this broken thing and now it works," a new layer of belief gets added to their foundation. The world starts to feel like something they can interact with, not just something that happens to them. These kids grow into adults who don't freeze when the Wi-Fi router dies at midnight before a work presentation. They think, all right, let's figure this out. Path 2. The reluctant survivor. But not everyone who becomes a fixer had an encouraging childhood. Some of them had the opposite. Psychologist Julian Rotter spent years studying what he called locus of control, the degree to which a person believes they have power over what happens to them. Some children are forced to develop an internal locus of control not through encouragement, but through necessity. The kid who learned to cook basic meals at age 8 because dinner wasn't being made. The teenager who figured out how to fix a second-hand bicycle because it was the only way to get to school. The young person who quietly learned to manage adult problems because the adults around them couldn't. These kids didn't fix things out of curiosity. They fixed things because not fixing them felt dangerous. And as adults, they often become the most capable people in any room, the ones everyone turns to when things go wrong. But here's the part we need to slow down and look at carefully. Because these two paths produce very different kinds of fixers. And understanding which one you are changes everything. There are two types of people who always know how to fix things. From the outside, they look identical. On the inside, they're running completely different programs. Type 1. The curious fixer. This person fixes things because problems genuinely fascinate them. When their laptop slows down, they don't feel dread, they feel a mild, pleasant interest. What's eating up the memory? Let me check. They're the person who disassembles a perfectly working mechanical watch just to understand the gears. Who rebuilds something that didn't need rebuilding just to see if they can do it better. To them, broken things aren't stressful. They're honest. A broken thing is showing you exactly where the weakness is, and that kind of transparency is satisfying. Being around a curious fixer is quietly life-changing. They take the drama out of disaster. They look at a cracked ceiling and see a moisture problem to trace, not a catastrophe to panic about. Their calm is contagious, not because they pretend everything is fine, but because they genuinely believe every problem has a path through it. They remind you, without ever saying it out loud, that most things in this world were built by ordinary people. Which means ordinary people can understand them, adjust them, and yes, fix them. Type 2. The coping fixer. Now this is the part of the video that might hit a little differently. This type of fixer isn't driven by curiosity. They're driven by anxiety. Somewhere along the way, often in childhood, they learned that helplessness is dangerous. That if things fall apart and nobody steps in, something bad happens. And they internalized one response to that fear, become the person who fixes everything. So now, as adults, when something breaks, even something small, even something that doesn't actually need their involvement, they feel a pull. An almost physical need to step in and handle it. A friend texts them about a rough day and they immediately start offering solutions. Their partner mentions a leaky faucet and they're already looking up parts before the conversation is over. A coworker struggles with a task and they quietly take it over because watching someone else struggle feels genuinely uncomfortable. They're not doing it to show off. They're doing it because staying still while something is broken feels genuinely threatening to their nervous system. Psychologists describe this pattern as compulsive caretaking, and it often masks a much deeper belief: my value depends on my usefulness. If that lands somewhere in your chest right now, keep listening. Here's the cost nobody talks about. Coping fixers are often the most exhausted people in their entire social circle. Not because they're weak, but because they've quietly appointed themselves responsible for everything. The relationship that's struggling. The friend who keeps making bad decisions. The aging parent who won't ask for help. The team at work that can't seem to function without them. They carry it all. And they carry it silently, because admitting they're tired feels like admitting failure. Psychologists call this state responsibility overload. And over time, it doesn't just cause burnout, it reshapes a person's entire identity around being needed. The problem with building your identity around being needed is simple. The moment you can't fix something, you don't just feel frustrated. You feel worthless. And that's a heavy thing to carry around every day. So if you recognize yourself in this, here's what actually helps. Shift 1. Separate who you are from what you do. Your ability to solve problems is a skill. It's not your value as a human being. Practice what psychologists call non-reactive awareness. The next time something breaks, a device, a situation, a conversation, pause for 5 full minutes before doing anything. Just observe your own discomfort. Notice the urge. And remind yourself, I am not less worthy because this is still broken. You are not a utility. You are a person. Shift 2. Let other people struggle, on purpose. This one is uncomfortable. But it's necessary. Neuroscience research on mirror neurons shows that humans naturally absorb the emotional states of people around them. Fixers feel this especially strongly. Someone else's distress becomes their distress almost instantly. But here's the truth. When you rush in to fix someone else's problem before they've had a chance to sit with it, you're not just helping them. You're also preventing them from building their own version of the thing that makes you so capable. Let people feel stuck sometimes. It's not cruelty. It's respect. Shift 3. Use the 24-hour pause. For any non-urgent problem, meaning nothing that threatens safety, health, or genuine well-being, make yourself wait 24 hours before acting. This isn't procrastination. It's nervous system retraining. The chronic fixer's brain is often running at a low level of hyperarousal, always scanning, always ready to intervene. The 24-hour pause teaches your prefrontal cortex a new truth. The world didn't collapse because I waited. Over time, this shifts your fixing from a fear response to a conscious choice. Shift 4. Let some things stay broken. This is the hardest one. Leave the cabinet door slightly crooked. Let the email sit in drafts until tomorrow. Stop trying to rescue the friendship that keeps draining you. Psychologist Carl Rogers wrote about something he called unconditional positive regard, first for others, then for yourself. Part of that means accepting that not everything is meant to be fixed. Not everything broken is your responsibility. And not every crack is a flaw. Sometimes it's just the texture of a real, honest life. You don't have to patch every hole in the world to deserve your place in it. So here's the question worth sitting with tonight. When you fix things, are you doing it because it genuinely excites you? Or are you doing it because stopping feels dangerous? Both are valid starting points. Neither one defines you forever. The most important thing you can take from this video is this. Being someone who knows how to fix things is a genuine strength. But that strength is only truly yours when you choose to use it, not when anxiety is using it on your behalf. If this video made you see yourself, or someone you love, a little more clearly, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper into the psychology behind why people think, feel, and behave the way they do. And the next video, we're going into the minds of people who always stay calm under pressure. Not because nothing bothers them, but because of something very specific happening in their nervous system that most people never develop. You won't want to miss it. Take care of yourself. And remember, some things are worth fixing. Some things are worth leaving alone. Knowing the difference. That might be the most important repair work you ever do. See you in the next one.